There are more people now infected with tuberculosis than at any other time in human history.
There's no reason that the world has to sit by and watch 1 million African children die from malaria.
There are now 30-some new diseases that we had never seen before. You know, not something that has been going on forever. This is new.
The microbes know no boundaries, and there is no risk so remote that it can't affect us here.
Despite the advances of medical science, our world is still haunted by the specter of dangerous disease.
The illness came on really quickly. We were in the mountains on Monday, and by Thursday he was on life support.
RX for Survival is the story of the greatest challenges in global health today, and of the people who are meeting them head-on.
This is a war. This is the ammunition for the war.
A case labeled vaccine.
One of global health's best weapons is one of the oldest.
Roll up your sleeve.
Vaccines to protect children from epidemic killers have been around for centuries.
This will only hurt a little.
And they can still do the job today. But the challenges are huge. Dr. Sudeep Singh and his team need to vaccinate 165 million children in less than a week.
They give oral vaccinations on a train car.
Antibiotics also continue to save lives, as Dr. Jim Kim knows too well.
We had to go and convince them, please, you need to continue taking your medicines, because if you don't, you're going to die.
An ophthalmologist from Baltimore discovered that 2 drops of vitamin A can mean the difference between life and death for millions of children around the world. Wherever there is creativity and commitment, the landscape of global health is changing.
The bottom line is we can do this. We know how to save lives, and there's no reason for us not to.
Tonight, we begin our journey with vaccines, global health's most powerful weapons in the struggle against disease. But how long will they continue to protect us with the arrival of new killers? And can we find ways to get vaccines to everyone who needs them? Disease Warriors, coming next on RX for Survival.
Images appear over a rotating Earth. A doctor presses a toddler's abdomen, and an ophthalmologist gives a child an eye exam. More children walk hand in hand. A researcher looks up from his microscope. A needle stirs a vial of medicine, and a United Nations SUV drives in a city. 2 girls smile joyfully, and a man leans on a walking stick. A title appears, RX for Survival, a global health challenge.
Major funding for RX for Survival was provided by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, working to ensure that life-saving advances in health reach those who need them most. And by...
If you ran a drug company, what would you change?
I would try to prevent disease, not just treat it.
I would go after the really tough diseases.
I'd make it so folks wouldn't have to choose between their groceries and their medicine.
At Merck, we believe in the same things you do. Because 50 years ago, George Merck told us to put patients first by creating novel medicines and vaccines and getting them to the people who need them.
I would try to see everything through the eyes of a patient.
Merck, where patients come first.
A title, Disease Warriors.
Polio vaccine packed in ice, safe for several days, is being distributed to thousands of vaccinators in northern India.
Workers fill coolers.
This is the largest public health campaign in the world today. A last-ditch effort to eradicate polio from the face of the planet.
This is a war against polio. This is the ammunition for the war.
On a city street, a man with one leg walks with crutches.
And these are the casualties of this war, which has been waged worldwide for over a decade. And the final battle will hopefully be in India, one of the last remaining reservoirs of this relentless crippler.
Narrated by Brad Pitt.
The Indian campaign will target 165 million children, a daunting task, especially in crowded North Indian cities like Aligarh.
Something like 300 this time.
Nasan Saba and Sudeep Singh, a local Sikh doctor, are in charge of this densely populated region.
Nasan Saba, UNICEF.
The polio eradication program is the largest public health initiative in the history of humanity. It is huge.
Workers carry vaccine in coolers.
But the question is, will it work? 10 years ago, there were 175,000 polio cases a year in India. Now, there are fewer than 100. But the speed at which poliovirus spreads can quickly turn scores of cases into thousands overnight. So vaccinators have to outrace the virus.
Nesan Saba.
We need to get immunity levels to such a height that the virus no longer has a human host.
The poliovirus, like any virus, is just a few strands of genetic material wrapped in protein. Unable to live on its own, it invades other cells to survive. In some cases, the virus enters the spinal cord, causing nerve damage and paralysis. Most people only get a cold. But in everyone, the virus lives in the human gut and then spreads in human feces.
A family stands in their doorway above a trough of filthy water.
If excrement with poliovirus reaches these unhygienic open sewers, it can spark a larger outbreak in an instant.
If you really want to put a face to polio transmission, this is it.
He points to a trench.
All the drain water from these sewage is coming here. The hand pump picks it up, and that water is being used as drinking water, and so the infection spreads.
Anju Puri, UNICEF.
Fortunately, most children who catch the virus don't get sick with the disease. Unfortunately, they can still spread it to others.
Families and children crowd a plaza.
For the 100 cases of paralysis in India today, there are 20,000 more children quietly spreading the disease all over the country.
Nesan Saba.
If we leave a single child out, we jeopardize the entire program, not only for the state, but for the entire world. Really, it's that serious.
At night, a torchlit parade moves through an alley.
But as organizers begin mobilizing millions throughout India for the vaccination campaign, there are major obstacles to its success.
Bearded men in white robes sit in a marketplace.
Muslim religious leaders in Aligarh mistakenly believe that the polio vaccine causes impotence, and they warn people of their faith not to take it. And this is the result: paralyzed children.
A father rubs his young son's foot.
They came here to the village about 4 to 5 months ago to give the vaccine, and 9 children died. When the same polio vaccinators came back the next time, we all batted them and sent them away. After that, the belief was spread.
But 9 children hadn't died. The rumors were false. And now this rickshaw driver, who believed the stories, carries a son who will be crippled for life.
Anju Puri, UNICEF.
That is one. We've had cases when villagers have thrown bricks. They have actually shot people.
With house-to-house visits, Nesan Saba and his team of vaccinators are determined to win over religious resistors and prevent more children from being struck down.
Namaskar ji.
But it will not be easy.
In a family courtyard.
We don't want the vaccines at all.
Are you God? Answer me. We only trust God. Hey, please listen to me. There's no one bigger than Allah. Am I right or wrong?
UNICEF workers nod to the man.
If the vaccinators can't break this cultural resistance, the polio virus will live on here in India, and the great campaign will fail.
Allah keeps my child safe. Who are you to keep him safe?
The arguments in this simple courtyard in India are not new. Before there were vaccines or medicines of any sort, faith in God was about the only thing people had to ward off disease.
In a recreation, a lecturer speaks in a parlor, Paris, 1964.
Illness is not divine punishment or miasma of bad air, or as some still believe, an imbalance of bodily humors.
Until 1864, when a brilliant French chemist, Louis Pasteur, unmasked the real causes of human illness.
No, ladies and gentlemen, illness is caused by tiny germs, living organisms in the air all around us, so small you cannot see them, yet so dangerous they can kill you.
And how did you discover these germs?
I will show you. François?
On the wall, an assistant projects an image of tiny cells.
Working with the latest microscopes of his day, Pasteur was able to visualize microorganisms like bacteria for the first time.
These particular germs cause cholera. I found them in the blood of an infected chicken. And it is tiny little germs, just like these, that can make us sick. They will even cause some of us in this room to die.
But, Monsieur Pasteur, how do we kill them before they kill us?
That is indeed the question for which I have no answers yet. But I do have some ideas.
England, 1796.
Pasteur